Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, conservative cowards are at it again here in Oklahoma as people like Ryan Walters and Sherrie Conley get together with people like Rick West, who is the author of House Bill 1775, scaring teachers to death, making them not want to be teachers, especially in history, and keeping them from teaching actual history lessons. This week on Across the Desk, the attack of public education in Oklahoma continues. So the big news this week on the education front happened to be not from Ryan Walters, but a statement from a representative, Sherrie Conley. Now, she's not new to controversy. The last time she was in the news, it was because she didn't think the KKK was all that bad. And how racism is just, a process of the mind, I guess. Well, here we go again, about the same thing. She came out earlier talking about the Tulsa Race Massacre. People were on this House Bill 1775 that passed 2 years ago into law, talking about how you can't teach critical race theory and everything else, and now we come to the Tulsa Race Massacre. This is an important piece of Oklahoma history. Well, Republicans would really like to whitewash that history to make it think that it wasn't so bad, just kind of like DeSantis says, slavery taught skills. Yeah, in this case, Sherrie Conley came out and said, well, we don't know if that race massacre was really about race. Yeah, the race massacre wasn't about race. Of course, her idea was that, well, we really don't know what was in the minds of those people that perpetuated the violence that day. Was it really about race? Well, we really don't know because we can't question them. For one, most of them are dead, and the ones that perpetuated it, well, they're pretty silent anyway if they're alive. The only people that are around are the victims of it, who are still here, and they say, this was absolutely about race. But, people like Sherrie Conley, you can't take the victim's word for it, because, that's the victim. We want to know what the people that did the crimes, these were crimes that were never prosecuted, we don't know what their thought process was. So we really can't say if it was racist. Of course, later on, a couple of days later, she has to come back and walk that back, tuck that tail and retreat as far away from that statement as possible, saying, that was a horrible time of our history, and it was absolutely about race. She came out and said that it was about race, but she didn't necessarily say that that's what we should teach our kids. See, because that's what this is all about. It's about teaching our people that are under 18 a certain lesson, right? Can't teach them that it was because of race that this race massacre happened. We can't teach them anything about that because that may lead us to thinking about systemic racism, which is illegal to teach in Oklahoma because you see, people like the authors of the bill, Rick West, it might make them uncomfortable. And we know conservatives, when they're uncomfortable, turn into about the biggest yellow cowards you ever met. And I suppose that's the reason Rick West wanted this law, because certain things make him feel uncomfortable. And if they make him feel uncomfortable, well, your kid can't learn it. Your kid can't learn it. See? And this is a big chilling effect on the First Amendment. And that's what this is all about. That's what a lot of things, when you see conservatives, when you see Republicans out there with their bills that people don't like, a lot of it has to do with going against the First Amendment because they really hate it. They don't like the First Amendment. They like it for them, of course. And they like it as long as they can use it as a cudgel for those they don't like. Religious freedom, right? James Langford's all about First Amendment, religious freedom. We should have the religious freedom to, admonish gays for people for being gay. Because, his religion says it's a sin. So, therefore, he should have the right to abuse those people that are gay because his religion says so. It says religious freedom after all. And this goes on further into the conservative mindset of the tiered constitutional system. See, certain people, real Americans, have more rights and freedoms than those that aren't deemed as real. So who would the real Americans be? Well, conservatives, of course, and primarily Christian. Well, just Christians, right? Because James Langford actually said there's no other rights that trump religious freedom. None. Religious freedom's at the top. It takes over everything else. He actually said this. actually believes in a tiered constitutional system. Actually, he doesn't even believe in the Constitution. He tried to jettison it so that his president of choice could remain in office. But getting back to this education thing in House Bill 1775, it's been really chilling effect on free speech. Teachers have changed their whole lesson plans up or refused to teach things because they're afraid of getting in trouble. And they have no recourse if they do. You see, they have no protection. It's taken out in the law. This law does exactly what you would think a cowardly conservative would do. They tie the teachers' hands and administrators' hands behind their back so that the Republican, if they just want to wallop on them, can do it without fear of being punched back in return, you see? So that's how they like to fight. It makes them feel tough that way if they can beat someone while their hands are literally tied behind their back. So that's what you get. Teachers that are teaching this and everything else and saying, oh, that's not what we mean. I think maybe we should have some kind of teacher conference thing or some kind of learning day for teachers so they'll really understand House Bill 1775. Yeah, let's spend a whole bunch of state resources and people's time and money to learn something because of a poorly written law that absolutely takes away the freedom of speech from people, because you know those children's minds are so vulnerable under 17. Of course, this is what they think. This goes further than that, though. I've actually had people, conservatives, say that no, it's kids under the age of 27. Yeah, kids 27, conservatives. They're talking about college-age kids, because when they push this, they say we need to do this to colleges too. Those people are adults. And there's a known thing in colleges for being able to be free speech havens. So here you go, conservatives wanting to control what people are learned, what people are taught, whitewash it so it makes them feel comfortable. And it's not just children they want this to learn. They want the adults to learn the way they want to and not learn things that they don't want them to learn. Total violations of the First Amendment. This is a squelching of the First Amendment like you wouldn't believe. As a matter of fact, right now, the ACLU has 2 court cases going through just on that. On chilling of free speech, chilling of rights, and everything else. And they're going through right now on this HB 1775, authored by the coward Rick West. So that's what we got. So we have 1775 banning topics, and that's got to tell you something right there. You're banning topics that can be discussed. That right there is anti-freedom. That's absolutely anti-freedom. Telling you can't do something? The government telling you can't do something. That's anti-freedom. That's what we got. You can't, critical race theory and everything else. And the interesting thing on this whole thing comes out, and Ryan Walters steps in and says, you know what? Well, I'm putting together a more robust curriculum just on the Tulsa Race Massacre. Oh, that's great. He's going to put together a great curriculum just for that so that we don't have to worry about anybody being affronted by the law because they taught something that went against House Bill 1775 and made someone uncomfortable that was a conservative Republican. So there you go. He's going to put together this robust thing, and I'll almost guarantee you the robustness means he's going to whitewash it. Absolutely. It's going to be a DeSantis thing all over again. That's going to do it in Florida. DeSantis says he doesn't have anything to do with it. Of course, he's tucking his tail and running from that and leaving the board down there. He put it all together to hold the bag on, slaves got skills for being slaves. Yeah, it was a good thing. They got skills, labor skills. Of course, not skills to be a doctor or a lawyer or a manager or an engineer, but labor skills, just being a laborer, because that's obviously what they're worth to people like DeSantis. They learn those good labor skills that they need to keep and not get into areas that a black person shouldn't be in. And that's exactly how people like Ron DeSantis, Ryan Walters, and Sherrie Conley feel about it. I mean, come on, these people are racist. They absolutely are. Ryan Walters, come on. The guy puts out Nazi tropes all the time. He recites Nazi sayings. He puts out stuff that the Unite the Right has put out. You know the guy's an absolute racist. Absolutely he is, and he can't wait to whitewash it enough. It's exactly where we are with this House Bill 1775 and what they want to do with it. And now that they got this, law should be to serve all of us, the people. the people of the state of Oklahoma. This should be to serve us, but that's not what conservatives do. They write laws to be cudgels, to go after their fellow Americans and make their lives harder. It's exactly what they do. Come on, Kevin Stitt put out an executive order this week going after trans people. Trans people. This is what the state has wasted their money on. This is what he made a big, huge press conference for, wasted a whole bunch of state money to put out his executive order to go after 0.03% of the Oklahoma population. Of course, it makes sense, right? I mean, he's going to go after that because there's such a small population, right? One, if you force Democrats to defend those people, well, they're defending a small percentage of the whole population. The other thing is they're a small percentage of the population. What are they going to do to Kevin Stitt? Again, an opponent with their hands tied behind their back. Stitt wouldn't fight anyone in a fair fight. Toe to toe. He couldn't do it. He wouldn't last. Wouldn't happen. So he does stuff like this. So we get laws like 1775 to be used as cudgels, and that's exactly what they're doing. Look at what Ryan Walters is doing with it against Tulsa Public Schools. Tulsa Public Schools. That's a great one, right? Tulsa Public Schools. So Ryan Walters goes at him because a teacher at East Central High School in Tulsa gave a speech, commencement deal, and in it she invoked Jesus Christ. Well, the board didn't do anything to her. They didn't punish her or take pay or anything else. They sent her a letter saying, hey, this isn't proper because we need to have our prayers, it's okay, but they need to be non-denominational because we have to represent everybody. We have to take everybody in public education. We can't just take the Christians. You just can't. Even though I know Ryan Walters' fantasy, I know his fantasy land ideals that are never going to get to fruition. Ever. I don't care how many people he thinks he's going to kill, to exterminate, so he can only worry about people that think like he does, but everybody's always going to think differently. Unless you take away the Constitution of the United States and the freedoms we have, people are always going to think differently. They're going to think differently. They're going to worship different things. They're going to have different ideals of what's going on and a different perspective. That's what Ryan Walters can't stand. And it's this deal of other perspectives that really gives him so much anxiety. He just can't take it. It's got to be his perspective. He's got to be in control. And that's what this is all about, you see. That's why he's going after Tulsa the way they are. Because, see, Dr. Gist went against Kevin Stitt when she wanted to close down and the masking stuff and everything else in the district to keep people safe. Well, it really rubbed Kevin Stitt the wrong way, and he's been after her ever since. It's because this isn't the first time that Ryan Walters has been after the Tulsa Public School District. And of course they are. It's a public school district. It's one of the largest in the state, and they want to hobble it. They want to make it so bad, unfunded, all these extra red tape and loopholes and everything else that they can't function. And then they can come back and go, hey, look, public schools don't work. We've got to privatize all of it. After they hobbled it on purpose, so that they can give it to the private school buddies that's giving Ryan Walters hundreds of thousands of dollars. See how that works? Because that's what this is all about. So they got a great lightning rod with Dr. Gist over there at Tulsa Public Schools while they weaponize HB 1775 to go against him. Go against him in this way. Going after him because of the speech that was given that they told someone, hey, we really can't do that. Going after him because they funded a diversity and inclusion program. Whoa, gosh, before they even decided they weren't going to fund this stuff. Yeah, they funded it. So what? Everybody did. So they're going after him for that. Timeline, skews right there is what he's using, he's hoping. And also the prayer and school thing. So he's going after all of them for this. They're really coming down hard on Tulsa Public Schools because of this. And one of the things is, as far as a big district like that, they're the biggest school with the largest minority student body. So that tells you right there, man, is he really a racist? Is this really a big racist thing where he wants to whitewash this, where the Tulsa Race Massacre wasn't really about race, and that it really wasn't that bad? Is that what he's trying to get? Is that what he's really wanting to learn? Is that really what he's going for here? He wants to tell about how during the time that not all the white people participated. I bet that's what it is, right? Not all white people in Tulsa participated. If everyone did, the whole place would have been burned down. I mean, more than it was, right? So that's what we get. That's what we got this week going on right here with a couple of racist Republicans coming out saying that the Tulsa Race Massacre wasn't about race. Because we really don't know what's in the heart of people that lived 100 years ago. We don't know what they thought. We're just using conjecture to understand that it was about race, even though they went to a place that was segregated just to black people, and that the black people were the only ones rounded up and sent to the armory for the National Guard, and that white people actually went and looted the black people. Yeah, not about race. Well, this is Across the Desk, and we're going to see you guys next week.